Hi everyone, today we are going to create this beautiful rainbow scene inside Blender. We will model everything step by step, light the scene using a sunlight and a simple area light, and finally render it into this soft dreamy look. The main focus of this tutorial is modeling, and along the way you will learn how to create simple stairs, soft fluffy clouds, a clean and colorful rainbow, and a hanging swing to bring the scene to life. To make the scene feel even more magical, we will add a cute little girl using an awesome add-on called BlenderKit. So no character modeling in this tutorial. And to finish things off, we will animate the string using some super simple animation techniques. Before we start, please hit that subscribe button. My channel is in very early stages, so I truly appreciate every single like, comment and subscription. Thank you so much for the support, it really means a lot. So open up Blender and let's get started. Alright, we are inside Blender now, and before we begin I would like to mention that you can see the hotkeys that I'm using over here. And by the way, I am assuming that you have a very basic knowledge of Blender, like how to navigate around the viewport or how to move, rotate or scale objects inside Blender. Alright, let's begin. Okay, I want to make the rainbow first, so I'm going to select everything and remove them, and then shift a curve and I bring a circle, and then RY90 to rotate it 90 degrees around the Y axis, looking at it from the side view, and then click on data and bring the resolution number down to something like 5 so it has less edges now. And then under geometry and under bevel, while the round is selected, increase depth to something like this, and then Ctrl 2 to give it a subdivision surface modifier. Alright, because the rainbow has 7 colors, I need like 6 more copies of this one, so Shift D to make a copy, and then S to scale it up a little bit like this, and then Shift R to repeat that action a few more times. Alright, but we have a problem in here. As you can see, the ring is getting thicker and thicker every time I make a new copy, so Ctrl Z to go all the way back to the first ring. And the solution in here is to go inside edit mode, and while all these handles are selected, make the copies this way. So Shift D S to make the second ring and Shift R to repeat that action. But you can see there is some unwanted space in here, so it's better to do that manually. Shift D S, Shift D S, Shift D S, and it goes on like this. And here is the last one. Alright, now I want to convert it to a mesh. So right click, convert to mesh. If I go inside edit mode now, you can see there is a lot of geometry, so many faces, which is not good. And that's because of the subdivision surface modifier. So let's hit Ctrl Z a couple of times. And I want to remove the modifier for now and convert it to a mesh now. Right click, convert to mesh. And we can give the subdivision surface modifier back to it now, and if I go inside edit mode, you can see there is a lot less geometry. And I want to turn on the X-ray mode. The bottom is over here, and I want to select all these vertices at the bottom and X vertices to get rid of them. I also want to remove these vertices, X vertices. And now I have to give it a mirror modifier, so add modifier, generate mirror. Turn off the X-axis and turn on Y-axis. Let's turn off the X-ray mode, and as you can see there's a problem in here. That's because of the mirror modifier. It has to be the first one, so these modifiers have to switch places like this and the problem goes away. Alright, now I need each one of these to be a single separated object so I can apply colors more easily. So let's go inside edit mode, and inside the face mode I hit A on my keyboard to select all the faces, and then P and by loose parts. And if I go back to object mode, you can see that I can select them independently from each other, and that's good. So let's save the project now. File, save as. I want to save it on desktop, and I'm going to name it rainbow. Alright, for the rainbow colors, I'm going to bring my mouse over here at the corner, and I'm going to drag a window out like this. And then click here and change it to image editor. And I want to import an image that I downloaded from internet which has the rainbow colors in it. So image, open, and it's on my desktop. Yeah, here is the rainbow colors. Alright, now I'm going to select the first one, and in material tab I'm going to click on new and click on this white color and pick the eyedropper tool and click on this purple. And to preview the color, I'm going to hold down the Z key and switch to material preview. The bottom is over here. And then I'm going to select the next one, and basically the same process. New, click, pick the eyedropper and pick the second color. New, eyedropper, and the next one. And it just goes on like this. New, eyedropper, pick the orange, the last one, new, click here, pick the eyedropper and pick the red, and that's done. Let's press Ctrl S to save, and I don't need this window anymore, so right click here on the edge here and then join left. Alright, now I want to make some clouds, so let's go back to solid mode and select everything and then H to hide them all, and then Shift A, mesh, and I bring a UV sphere, and then Ctrl 2 to give it a subdivision surface modifier. And I want to apply this modifier, so while my mouse is hovering over it, I'm going to hit Ctrl A to apply it. If I go inside edit mode, you can see there is a lot of more geometry now which I want. So let's go back to object mode and then SZ to scale it down in Z direction and SX to scale it down in X axis as well. Alright, now Ctrl A and apply all transforms, and now Ctrl Tab and go to sculpt mode. And while the blob brush is selected, start to make some effects here, like very randomly make some blobs. And if I hit F on my keyboard and drag to left and right, I can make my brush smaller and bigger to make some randomness here. I want to make it a little bit bigger. Just like that. A very cartoonish looking cloud. Alright, now let's go back to object mode and SZ to make it smaller in Z axis and Ctrl 2 to give it another subdivision surface modifier. Actually, I want to go back to a sculpt mode and keep on sculpting a little bit more. Let's smooth them out by holding down the shift key, and you can spend as much as time you want here to make a very perfect looking cloud, but for the sake of tutorial this is good for me. Alright, let's go back to object mode and then Alt H to bring everything else back, and then Z and switch to material preview and give the cloud a material new, and this is good already. Let's select the cloud and then G to bring it over here and SZ to make it a little bit smaller, and SX also, and GY to bring it over here, looking at it from the top view, Shift D to make a copy and S to make it smaller like this. And just make copies and find a good position for them. Alright, let's select them all and Shift D to bring these over here and RZ90 to rotate them. Actually, sorry, RZ180. And then GX. Yeah, perfect. GZ, and I want to make it smaller like this. Perfect. Ctrl S to save it. Alright, now I want to make a stairs. I don't exactly know why a stairs, but this is just a scene that I designed. So just let's do that. Shift A, mesh, and I bring a plane. Let's switch to solid mode and then GX to bring it over here, and then RX90 to rotate it 90 degrees around the X axis. I press tab to go inside the edit mode, and I want to subdivide this face a few times. So right click, subdivide, right click, subdivide, maybe one more time, right click, subdivide. Yeah, this is perfect. Let's go to edge mode. I'm going to select edges like this. Let's pick the select circle. I'm going to select this edge, hold down the shift key and keep on selecting like this. Yeah, perfect. Now Control I to invert the selection, and then X and edges to get rid of those edges. Now I go inside object mode and let's bring it down here like this, and I'm going to select all the edges or vertices. That doesn't really matter. I'm going to make a copy by hitting the Shift D and X to bring it over here, and then RZ 180 to rotate it 180 degrees around the Z axis, of course. And then let's go inside edit mode. While I'm in vertex mode, I'm going to select these two vertices and hit M and add center to join them together. I can actually get rid of this vertex, so X dissolve vertices. Perfect. Same thing for down here, select these two vertices and then F to join them together. Alright, now I'm going to select all the vertices or all the edges, and then I press F to close this hole and have a face in here, a big N-gon. Alright, now I want to extrude this face. Let's look at it from this side, and then E to extrude it out like this. Perfect. Let's turn on the X-ray mode, and I'm going to select all these vertices. I turn on the X-ray mode because I want to be able to select the vertices behind as well. And then GX to bring them over here like this. Let's turn off the X-ray mode and let's apply all transforms. And then inside edit mode, I'm going to select all the edges and then Control B to make some bevels like this. Very small amount of bevels. Not that many subdivision. By scrolling the mouse wheel, I can define the number of edges. Yeah, perfect stairs. Now let's look at it from the top view, and then G to bring it over here. Let's check it from different angles and make sure that it's alright. Let's right click and shade the smooth. Yeah, perfect. Now I'm going to select everything and bring them all to the floor. Just like that. Let's give the stairs a material, new, and I think this is good for now. I can change it later, so let's switch to material preview. Yeah, it's perfect. Now Control S to save it. Well, let's make the position of these clouds a little bit better. I'm going to look at it from this angle, and then G to bring it over here, and S to scale it up a little bit like this. And I want to make a copy, Shift D, and bring the copy over here, and I want to make it a lot smaller, and RZ 180 to rotate it to make it look a little bit more random, and to make some variations here, and maybe another one, Shift D, and bring this one here and bring it down, and I want to rotate it around the Z axis a bit like this, and I want to bring it down as well, just like that. Perfect. Save it for now. And then next I want to make the swing. For the swing, I'm going to bring a cube. So Shift A, Mesh, Cube, looking at it from the front view, and then GZ to bring it up, and S to make it a lot smaller like this. And then SZ and GZ to bring it down. Just find a good position for it. And I want to make it a little bit bigger. And SX to make it smaller in X direction, and then Ctrl 2 to give it a subdivision surface modifier, but it needs a few loop cuts. But before that, let's apply all transforms, Ctrl A, all transforms, and then inside edit mode, while all the edges are selected, I'm going to hit Ctrl B on my keyboard and give it some bevels like this, and by scrolling the mouse wheel I can define the number of edges. I don't need too many of them, this is alright now, and then right click, shade smooth. Perfect. Now I want to do the ropes, and for that I want to use a cylinder. So Shift A, Mesh, Cylinder, and then open up this panel and reduce this vertices number to something like 12, and I think that might be enough. And then G to bring it over here, and S to make it smaller, and SC to make it taller. But before doing anything, I want to solo it out. So hit the backslash key, and then inside edit mode, I'm going to select this face and this face too, and inset them in. So I and insert them in, and Control R to add a loop cut here at the top, and Control R to add another one here at the bottom. I'm doing this because I wanna give it a subdivision surface modifier. So let's go back to object mode, backslash to bring everything else back, and Control 2 to give it a subdivision surface modifier, and right click shade smooth, and S to make it small, and SZ to make it tall. Just find a good position for it. All right, perfect. Now I need another one to be mirrored here. So select it, and inside modifiers tab, add modifier, generate, and give it a mirror modifier. The origin point is here. I want it to be at center. So right click, set origin, and origin to 3D cursor. So now the origin point is at the middle of the word. It's exactly in the center of the word. So now if I turn off the x-axis and turn on the y-axis, you can see that we have mirrored it perfectly to the other side. Let's make it a little bit smaller in z-axis. So I want to apply this mirror modifier, so Control A to apply it, and then right click, set origin, and origin to geometry, and SZ to make it a little bit smaller, and GZ to bring it up a bit like this. Perfect. Let's give it some material. So select this part, and inside the material tab I'm going to click on new, and I want to give it a dark brown kind of color. Yeah. And for the ropes, I want it to be a little bit lighter, so light brown like this. Perfect. And now I can join them together because both of them has a subdivision surface modifier of level 2. As you can see it over here, I can join them together. So select it and select the other one by holding down the shift key and Control J to join them together. Alright, here is the swing. Control S to save. Alright, now it's time to import the character into our scene. Go to BlenderKit website, which is blenderkit.com, and click on this download BlenderKit. And download BlenderKit, whatever the version is. And it started to download, and it gives you a zip file. The most important point in here is do not unzip the file. I will tell you why. Okay, we are back in Blender and I want to install the add-on. So go to Edit, Preferences, and under Add-on, you have to click on this arrow button and install from disk. And then choose the zip file, which is here, BlenderKit on my desktop, and choose install from disk. I already have it on my system, so I don't have to do that. You have to do that. Install it first, and then if you press the N button, you can see the BlenderKit add-on here at the side menu. Alright, let's open up the BlenderKit add-on. There's a button at the top over here, but there's also another one which I prefer more at the side menu. So if I hit the N on my keyboard and there's the BlenderKit, I'm going to search for a girl here while the models are selected, and hit enter on my keyboard. And there is a whole lot of models that are provided by great artists out there. I'm going to select one. This one I'm going to pick. Shout out to the artist Lady Mito. I'm going to double click on it and bring it into our viewport. As you can see, it is getting downloaded over here. Yeah, it's already in, and then I can close this and then N to close the side menu. And then I'm going to open up this outliner, and this basic female is the model. Right click and select objects, and then GZ to bring them up. And then I'm going to hit backslash key on my keyboard to solo it out. As you can see, the character is in a running position. I want to reset the position, so let's select the rig. This one is the rig, and here we have data for the rig, and there is two positions: rest positions, which I need now, and the pose position. So rest position is the one that I want. And if I open up the timeline and if I go inside pose mode and if I select everything, you can see that we have some keyframes in here. I don't need them, so I'm going to select all of them and X to remove the keyframes. Alright, let's close the panel. And now I'm going to rotate the whole thing, so I'm going to select everything. Let's go back to object mode, and before that I want to do something in pose mode. While everything is selected, I'm going to pause and then clear transform and all to make sure is in a very initial position. And then let's go back to object mode and press A to select everything, and then RZ90 negative to rotate it like this. All right, and I want to make it smaller. Let's hit the backslash key to bring everything else back. And I want to make it a lot smaller. You have to be careful. In object mode, you have to select the model, the character, and the rig all together. So let's hit dot on my numpad to focus on it, and then GX to bring it over here. And these lines are kind of confusing me. So let's open up this panel and turn off the relationship lines. Yeah, that's much better now. All right, we got the character, and now we have to make it sit on this swing. So for now, let's press Ctrl S to save the project. All right, now let's help this little character to sit on the swing. So I'm going to select the character, right click here in outliner and select objects, and then looking at it from the side view, and I'm going to bring it over here like this. And before doing anything else, I want to hide some of these elements. So select the rainbow objects and then press H to hide them, and select these clouds one by one and hide them. All right, now looking at it from the side view, and let's select the rig, and I press G to bring it over here. And then while the rig is selected, I go inside pose mode, and I'm going to click on this cube here, and then looking at it from the side view, and G to bring it down, but it's not working because we are in rest position. So let's switch to pose, and then G to bring it down like this. All right, I want to select these two for the feet, and G to bring them up, and then R to give it a little bit of rotation like this, and G to bring it over here. Perfect. Select the cube again and bring it here, and these two for the feet again, still looking at it from the side view, and bring it up. And let's go back to object mode and bring the whole character back a little bit like this. Let's go back to pose mode. In this stage, we have to switch between pose mode, object mode again and again to find the best position for our character. Let's go back to object mode, and this is perfect. All right, now for the fingers, I have to probably remake the ropes again. Let's save the project for now. All right, now I want to find a good position for the hand, but before that, let's adjust the size of this swing. So I'm going to select the swing, and I want to remove the ropes for now. So let's go to edit mode, and I'm going to hover my mouse over this rope and press L on my keyboard, and hover over this one and press L again, and then X faces to get rid of them. Let's go back to object mode and looking at it from this side, and then SX to make it smaller in X axis. Let's press Ctrl Z, and while I'm in object mode, I'm going to right click and set origin and origin to geometry, and then SX and SZ, and bring it over here. Maybe a little bit smaller in X axis. Yeah, perfect. And now I want to make it even smaller in Y direction, just like that. And for the rope, I'm going to press Shift A, and I bring a cylinder, and it has 12 vertices because we have adjusted it before. And then let's press Alt H to bring everything else back, and then S to make it smaller, only the cylinder, and G to bring it over here, and SZ to make it taller a little bit. Let's go inside edit mode, and I want to select this face and this face also, and then I to insert them in a little bit, and then add another loop cut, one more in here, and then Ctrl+2 to give it a modifier, and then right click, shade smooth, and let's make it a lot smaller, and SZ to make it so tall. SZ to bring it over here like this. And then GX and bring it here. Perfect. Let's save it. And now I'm going to make the position of the hands alright. Okay, for the hands, I'm going to click on the rig and select it, and then I go inside pose mode, and here I have to select these parts of the rig one by one and make some rotation and move them around to find the best position. But before that, make sure the X button in here is activated, so whatever changes I make to the right side is gonna be applied to the left side as well, so the model will be symmetrical always. So I'm going to select this one now, and then looking at it from the front view and give it some rotation like this. Maybe it's not necessary for now. And then this one, and give this some rotation. And this one. And I'm trying to find a good position for it, looking at it from different angles. And I'm going to speed up this part of the video till I find the best location for everything. Okay, perfect. Now I'm going to do the fingers. Okay, before bending the fingers, I want to go back to object mode, and I want to select the rope, and I want to bring it here and here, and it's too thick, so S Shift Z to make it smaller. Let's right click and set origin, and origin to geometry, and S Shift Z to make it small like this, and then I bring it to the position that I want. Yeah, perfect. Now I click on the rig and I go back to pose mode, and I want to select this one and give it some rotation like this, and then I select these finger handles one by one, and I change from bounding box, the transform pivot point, from bounding box to individual origins. Now if I press S, and I can scale it down like this, so it's gonna hold the rope, and this one, and I can even do that together, like select this one and select this one and scale them just like that. And for the thumb, I'm going to bring it right here. And we can spend as much as time we want to find a very perfect position for it, but for the sake of tutorial, again, it's alright for me, it will do the job. So let's select this part of the swing, and then looking at it from top view, I cannot look from top view because the rainbow is blocking my view. I can hide it, but it's not really necessary. So SX to make it smaller, and then GX to bring it over here, and then SY to make it a bit bigger in Y direction. Let's go back to object mode, and let's just take a look, and it's alright. Now let's select the rope, and then we go inside modifiers tab and we give it a mirror modifier for the second time. Let's right click on it and set origin to 3D cursor, and let's turn off the X axis and turn on the Y, and let's keep it white for now. We can change the color later, but I want to make this part of the swing bigger in Y direction like this. Let's go back to object mode. We are in object mode now, and now let's hide the rig so we can see it better. So click on the rig and press H, and this one H, and I think this is good for now. Alright, Control S to save. Alright, now I want to make some changes to the character itself to make it look more personalized. So I'm going to click on the hairpiece, and then in material tab I want to convert it from brown to black like that, and I want to remove these things, and also I want to change the pants color. Basically you can do whatever you want with this model. So I can just remove this pants material and make it, for example, pink. For the shoes also, it doesn't really matter, so you can change whatever you want. All right, Control S to save. Okay, before making the swing actually swinging, I have to make some changes here. I'm going to select the rope, and then I have to apply this mirror modifier. So while my mouse is hovering over it, I press Ctrl plus A to apply that. And then while the ropes are selected, I'm going to hold down the Shift key and click on this part of the swing, and then Ctrl J to join them together. Alright, now I press Alt H to reveal the rig again, and then I click on the rig to select it, and Shift click on the swing, and then Ctrl P to bring up the parent menu. And I want object to keep transform, so object keep transform. Alright, now wherever the swing goes, the character follows. Ctrl Z. And now I want to hide the rainbow. So select everything in here and etch. Select the clouds and etch so I can look at it from the side. Alright, let's press Ctrl S to save it. Alright, now to make it swing, I'm going to Shift right click here to bring the 3D cursor there. And then I select the rig. Actually, I select the swing, and then I press R to make the rotation, but it's rotating from a wrong point. So transform pivot point is the answer. We have to change it from bounding box to 3D cursor, and then R to rotate it like a real swing. But we have a problem in here, I guess. Let's open up the timeline, and then N to open up the side menu. And let's make some rotation in here. And while my mouse is hovering over the rotation properties, I'm gonna hit I on my keyboard to add a keyframe in here. And I come like somewhere around here and swing it again to the front, some rotation. And then I to add another keyframe. Let's check it. You can see it's really weird. So Ctrl Z a few times, and then let's bring it back to the place. I want to send my origin point to 3D cursor, so right click, set origin, origin to 3D cursor, and then Shift C to send the 3D cursor back to its place. And I want to rotate it from 3D cursor to bounding box. And now if I try some rotation, yeah. So here I'm going to give it some rotation, and then hover my mouse over the rotation value and hit I, and come here and then rotate it like this, and I to add another keyframe. And as you can see, it's working perfectly. Let's go to solid mode. So I'm holding down the Z key and switch to solid mode, and I want to bring it here on frame 12. That's too fast. Maybe frame 24. Yeah. Now I come to frame 48 and I copy this one. So Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and here Ctrl C to copy and Ctrl V. I don't know how many exactly I need, so this one Ctrl C and Ctrl V. Ctrl C, Ctrl V to copy and paste. Let's check it. Let's play. You know, in my opinion, it's swinging perfectly. Alright, if you want it to swing faster or slower, you have to select all the keyframes in here and hit S on your keyboard, and you can scale it down or scale it up to make more spaces or less spaces between the keyframes. But I think this is good for me. I like it. Yeah, this is good. So N to close the side menu, and we can close the timeline as well. And let's go back to the beginning of the time by holding down the Shift and left arrow and Alt H to bring everything back. And I want to hide this rig, so select it H, and hold down the Z key, and let's go back to material preview and let's preview it one more time. So I hit space on my keyboard, and yeah, it's perfect. So Shift left click and Ctrl S to save. Alright, now we are ready to do the final touches. So I want to bring a cube, Shift A mesh cube, and I want to make it so big, and GZ and bring it up to the floor like this. Maybe a little bigger, S Shift Z to make it bigger, but not in Z axis. Now I go inside edit mode and I select this face and I remove it. Alright, now I want to apply all transforms, and then inside edit mode I'm going to select all the edges and then Ctrl B to give it some bevels like that, and I want to make it even bigger, S Shift Z, something like that, and I'm going to give it a light blue material. Yeah, perfect. Now let's click on the stairs and dot on my numpad to focus on it. So select the background and right click, shade smooth. Now I want to add a sunlight, so Shift A, light, sun. Let's hide the background, click on it, edge to hide it, and then click on the sunlight, G to bring it over here, and R to make some rotation. I'm gonna cast shadow around here, and if the shadows are too harsh during the render time, you can change this angle number and find the perfect number that works for you. So I leave it as it is for now, and later we have to change these parameters. But the strength, let's make it 3 for now, and we're gonna change it later. And this part, because the sun is illuminating the scene from here, this part is going to be so dark, so I need another light for here. Shift A, light, and I bring an area light, G to bring it over here, R to give it some rotation. I want it to be so big like this, and then let's go to the properties. The power, like 15 maybe works, I'm not sure, we're gonna see. I want it to not cast shadows. Alright, perfect. So Alt H to bring the background back, and then Control S to save it. Let's hide the rig. Alright, Control S to save. And now I want to do some render tests, but before that I have to add a camera. So Shift A, camera, and G to bring the camera over here, and then 0 to go inside the camera, and to open up the side menu, and inside the view I'm going to activate this checkbox, camera to view, and now wherever I go the camera follows. So I'm going to find a good position for the camera. Something like this is good. Alright, let's go to camera properties. 50 millimeters is fine. I don't need no depth of field for now, and I'm going to lock the camera so accidentally I cannot move it. So open up the side menu again, and inside the item I'm going to lock all these parameters and I cannot move it no more, and 0 to get out of there. Alright, now we can do a test render. Okay, I want to do the first test render, so I go to render properties, and then I want to change it from EV to cycles, and from CPU to GPU compute. And what else here we have? You know, we can change these parameters later. Let's do a first test render first. So I'm going to hit F12 on my keyboard and see what it's look like for now. You can see it's already looking amazing. Okay, after seeing the first render, I decided to change some parameters here in render settings. I want to go to color management and change it from AGX to a standard, because I want more cartoonish look, so these colors will be more vivid. And if you want them to be really saturated, you can change it from none, the look from none to high contrast or medium high contrast, but I think this is good for me. And I want less samples in here, so for renders, because it's gonna take so long, I'm going to reduce it to something like 512, and I think that's it. This is good. So this is it, guys. Thank you for watching the video, and just try to do different renders and change the parameters, like the sun, let's give it some more strengths, make it like 4, and the area light, make it more powerful, like 20, or reduce them and make them weaker, and find the best that works for you and hit F12 and get your final render and enjoy it. Thank you very much for watching the video. We have just learned a few very useful techniques that we can use in other projects. Have a good one. Goodbye.